Hi, this is Miss Cox, and today I'm going to show you how to graph and create charts in Excel 2010. So first off, you need some data. So I have some data right here. I have January purchases, and I have 4 items that were purchased in January with their costs, and also how much tax was paid on each item, as well as the totals. Now, let's say I wanted to graph this information. The thing is, if you tell Excel nothing, Excel will try to figure out what to chart for you. So if I go up here to Insert and then click on one of these chart options, maybe a column chart, I can pick any of these. It'll try to figure out what I want. Now, what do we have here? We have the purchases, costs, and taxes. So in blue we have the cost of the items, red's the taxes, and then we also have totals. I'm not sure that totals is needed here. This is a little strange. So what's often more helpful is actually telling Excel specifically what you'd like it to graph. So if you don't like a graph, you can always click on the white space in the chart and hit backspace. It will delete. And let me try again. This time I'm going to tell Excel what to chart. So I just wanted to chart the items and the cost of each of the items. So I select the cells that I want it to chart. I go to Insert, and this time I'll make a column chart still. I'll make a very plain column chart. Now, here we go. This tells me how much I spent on each of the items. Now, it also has this legend here that's trying to tell me what the blue represents, but if you don't have more than one color, there's no reason to have a legend. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this legend because it's a little silly. To go up to your different chart options, you go up here to the top, and it's a little hard to see here, but basically up at the top there will be some new tabs that open up that are called Chart Tools. If you go to the Layout tab, you'll have all sorts of different options, including Legend. We're going to turn off the legend because we only have one color here. And you'll have some other options like adding a title, adding axis titles. Let's start by adding a title to this chart because right now we don't know what this chart is. So this chart is January purchases. Okay, so that's what this chart is about. I'm also going to put labels for the axis, both of the axes, the horizontal and the vertical. So first off, the horizontal axis, I'm going to put that down here, and I will call this, these were items purchased. Okay, and then over here, let's go to axis title, vertical axis. We'll have a vertical axis. I'll have a rotated one. There's some different formatting options. And I will call this cost of item in dollars. Okay, now, does my chart make sense? I explain what these numbers mean. I've explained what each of these categories is. And I've explained what the whole chart is with that title. So at this point, this is a much more useful chart than what I started with. Now, if I click on the background area here, in the white area, I can hit backspace to delete it. I can also, though, just select it that way. And I'm going to try selecting it and moving it to a new location. So for example, here, I can click on Move to Chart. And what's great is you can move it to a new location, for example, a new sheet. I'll call it January purchases. Okay, I'll click OK, and it will automatically move it to a new sheet. Now, what's nice is it will make it larger, but also what you may notice is some of the text may seem a little small. If you ever need to resize some of the text, sorry for the background noise. Come on, really? Sorry, my dog is chewing on a bone. He's a little loud. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. So the thing is, you can always resize the text. So I can click on the text I want to resize, go back to the Home tab, and I can just change the size to whatever I want it to be. Maybe that's too big. But I may want to make the title bigger. You may need to make some of these bigger or the numbers bigger. It's very easy to do that. When you click on one, all of them will automatically select. Okay, so that's the basics for the first chart. Let's make another chart now. Now, what if I wanted to just look at the amount of tax on each of the items? Well, if I select all of these, it's going to chart all of this information. So if I go to Insert and then Column, it's going to chart everything. Now, I'm going to get rid of this. Here's another thing you can do. You can select, and then you hold down the Control key. So I've let go, I'm holding down the Control key, and now I'm going to click and select the tax. What you'll notice is I've skipped over the middle column here. So you can select whichever cells you want to chart, and then make sure you're only selecting the cells though that you want to chart. So now I've selected items and tax. I'm going to go to Insert, and this time I'll choose a pie chart just to show you what it looks like, but this information would probably be best in a column chart. So if I go to pie chart here, you'll see how lovely it is. Up here you do have all sorts of color options for your charts. Maybe I want it to look a little more bubbly. You have some different options up here for layouts. I like this layout here because it has some percentages built in, so it will put the percentages there. It will also automatically put a title up. I need to change the title to something that makes sense. These were January, we'll say January sales tax, because that's what this is. This is representing all the different taxes I paid. And I can see that most of my taxes came from the iPhone case that I bought. But this doesn't tell you the amount. This is just percentages. So if you want to see dollars or specific numbers, a pie chart's usually not what you want. Now, once again, to move it, you'd click over Move Location, New Sheet, I'll call it Sales Tax. I'll hit Enter, bam, and you can always resize things by going back to the Home tab and changing the size that way. You can also click on the percentages and make those larger as well. You may decide that you don't like the percentages being on top of the pie chart. If you don't, if you click once, you'll see that all the percentages are selected. If you click again, you'll be able to actually then, click once and then click a second time on that one. You can click and drag it out of the chart. So if you would like those percentages to show up outside, you can easily do that by just clicking and dragging them away. A couple other tricks. Let me go back to this chart. If I'm looking at this chart, yes, I know you want some love, I'm sorry. Say hi to the people on the podcast, on the screencast. Oh, I hope you could hear him, he was so cute. Okay, sorry. There's some other options up here as well, besides just the things I've shown you. There's some layout options. You can actually add grid lines if you wanted grid lines. You can have smaller grid lines, you can have vertical grid lines, you can add or remove axes. So maybe I wanted to hide the vertical axis. I mean, there's all sorts of different options you have here. You can label the data. For example, I could have the dollar amount pop up for each of those. What else? I mean, really, these are all your options. You can go to Format, you can change some of the formatting. The design has some design options, but the key to making a chart in Excel is make sure that when you finish, it makes sense. Because what happens is people will just create weird charts because they think it looks cool, but if it doesn't make sense, if there's no title, if there's no identification for what the axes are trying to show, then no one's going to understand your charts. So make sure when you create a chart, you just select the information you want it to graph. Make sure you choose the best kind of graph, and then go ahead and make sure you label things correctly. Okay? With that, that'll be it for me here. Thank you.